Hi, everyone. My name is Charity. I am a former consular officer with the U.S. Department of State. And today I'm here to talk about how to craft your answer to the question of why did you pick this school to study at in the United States? So first, I want to share why officers ask this question. And was always the first thing that I went with when interviewing somebody for an F1 student visa. Why did you pick this particular university for your studies? This is a really important question because it really gets to the idea of your motivations for choosing to move to another country, to spend the time, the money, and all of the energy that goes into getting a degree in the United States, right? And so officers are really going to be listening closely to the reasons that you give. And here's the thing, there is no one perfect answer to this because the only right answer is what makes sense for you and your situation. There are so many factors that can go into why we choose the schools that we did. I have 3 different university degrees, and I chose all 3 of those universities for different reasons at different points in my life. Officers are kind of thinking the same thing, right? So they're going to ask questions about what made you choose that school. So there's lots of things that you can consider. One of the ways that officers may ask about this is to ask how you learned about the school. There are over 4,000 universities in the United States. So finding just one of them that's perfect for you takes a little time, right? And it's not something that we typically just stumble on. And what goes along with that is not just learning about the school, but then deciding why it's the right fit for you and right fit for you right now to go to the United States to go to school. There are, like I said, so many factors that can go into this. It could be the size of a school. You know, colleges in the United States range from less than 1,000 students to over 50,000 students and all different sizes in between. And along with that is location. We have universities that are in downtown areas of major U.S. cities like New York City and Los Angeles. And then we have schools that are in tiny little towns out in the country and everything in between, right? We're very fortunate that we have a lot of variety, right? And so what might make sense, make one person feel comfortable, right? Being in a bigger school where there's lots of things going on and options, maybe being in a smaller school, we can feel a little more comfortable being around strangers and things like that. That's really going to depend on you and what makes sense in your life. Now, some of the other factors may be how well you feel that school is going to be able to support you as an international student. Are there lots of services available that make you feel welcome, that make you feel like they're going to help you as you adjust to living in a new country, and especially if this is the first time you've ever lived on your own? Right. Along with that, there might be in the area where the school is that you've chosen a very supportive community. Maybe there are family friends who live nearby, or maybe there are some people there who are from your home country, or maybe there's a religious institution there that really is devoted to people from your home country that can make you feel supported and welcomed and safe. Right? All of those things are legitimate considerations. Then there can be specific things about the school itself. Maybe there's some kind of specialized program that you've learned about that will enable you to pursue whatever your professional goals are. And for many of us, the decision of where to go to school often came down to the cost of the education and our ability to pay for it. So if it's an affordable institution, there are so many other factors, but these are some of the big ones. Now, I'm not telling you these to say you should talk about them. You should only talk about the ones that really factored into your decision of choosing the school that you did. And don't forget that an honest answer could be, I applied to 4 schools and this is the one that accepted me. I've known people who have done that in the United States too. Maybe this might be more helpful to talk about a little bit about the things that consular officers don't want to hear about, or more like the answers that don't give consular officers useful information in making their decisions, and may even raise some concerns about whether the student is really prepared to go and be a legitimate student and be successful in their program. Well, consular officers ask questions to student visa applicants. They're expecting answers that make sense for the student's personal circumstances and are direct and give real answers to the questions. A lot of times, however, I got answers that were kind of vague, really generic, right? Starting with, let's say, that question of how somebody learned about a school. The answer of, I searched it online, and that seems like a really difficult way to identify a particular school. And sometimes in those cases, I think it was people told me that because they thought that sounded better than saying, I worked with a company, right? An agent who recommended some schools for me. That's a perfectly legitimate way to learn about. If you've got thousands of schools to choose from, it can be really hard to find the right one for you. So going to an expert who is great at helping match up students in schools, to me, that makes total sense. Oftentimes when somebody was giving me these kind of very general answers that didn't really address the question I'd asked, it made me concerned that either they weren't being completely truthful with me for a variety of reasons, or they really hadn't thought about these things. And I expected them to have a pretty good idea of what they were planning to do if they were coming in and applying for a visa. Some other things that sometimes we hear from student visa applicants that are not particularly good or strong answers are talking about the research of Professor so-and-so, or how highly ranked the school is. Rankings can be an important factor, but unless you are the absolute top student in your country, right, that's probably not the reason why you chose that school, right? And the same when it comes to that research. Unless you have an existing relationship with that professor, maybe they came and taught at your school in your home country for a while and you've been working with them on some research, the rest of it just kind of sounds like it's something that you read on the website of the school. And that's not particularly persuasive, right? If there's something that an applicant talks about that really sounds like it's something that they just saw on a web page for the school, well, anybody can see that and talk about that for the university. Doesn't really tie that individual and their motivations to their decision to go to that school. The bottom line is your reasons for attending the school of your choice are your reasons. They don't have to be anything particularly fancy or excessive. It just needs to be real. And it should make sense for who you are, where you are, and where you want to go in your professional life. So take a little bit of time and think about the real reasons why you've chosen this school, why you've chosen the program that you have, and what you plan to do with that fantastic education, and be ready when you meet the consular officer at their window.